Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Cali Mare here. I'm sitting on my mountainside in Tala. I've got a great view. I'll show it to you in a moment. Today, what we're going to talk about? Well, many people have asked over the years, what does Mr. Paul do for a living? So for those of you who don't know, I've got a little body shop and a little mechanics shop, and I dibble and dabble in the buying and selling of cars. So that's where Mr. Paul's money's come from. So, body shop. Luckily, on the island of Love, people are frantic, people are in a hurry, and people are driving around doing things that perhaps they shouldn't be doing, drinking coffees, making YouTube videos, smoking cigars, whatever it is. And they clip their cars, or perhaps one or two people have something stronger than coffee perhaps, and on the way home clip a gatepost. So that pretty much keeps us in business in the body shop. And then of course, cars being cars, doesn't matter what brand it is, doesn't matter how reliable it is, they will always break down and wear and tear and those kind of things. So luckily, I made the decision to start a car bodywork business and a car mechanics tie-up business, should we say. It's not actually mine, but we're tied up with the mechanics. So that's how we just about managed to make a living. And then I buy a car, sell a car. Don't buy that many, don't sell that many. But as my grandfather used to say, the profit is in the car when you buy it. There's no point in buying a car, for example, for 10,000 euros and hoping to sell it for 11,000 euros, because you won't get 11,000 euros. You'll only get, I don't know, let's say 10,700. And then there's always something wrong with the car. There's always something on that car that you bought for 10,000 euros that you'll have to put right. So you'll end up buying it for 10,000, spending 500 and selling it for 10,700. That's not very clever. Well, I know there are many car dealers who work on those kind of margins, but of course they've got other things up their sleeves that are making money. In my case, I normally buy cars off customers of mine that are either changing their car or perhaps relocating back to another country, not necessarily the country where they came from, but going to another country. And they want out of their car, and shall we say, those people have a reality check and they accept that, yeah, okay, the car maybe is worth 10,000 euros. I can't be bothered with all of the hassle and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, I'll ask him, and if he gives me 7.5, I'll take his money. So that's how it works. So let's say I get to buy a 10,000 euro car for 7.5 or 8,000 euros, put whatever it is that's right on it, and then I'm either able to put it into the trade, because I've got quite a few connections, and make a few hundred, or luck is on my side, someone wants a similar car, I loan it to them, they like it, and they buy it for, let's say, 10,700 euros, somewhere around there. So I'm able to make my money on used cars in that middle ground, if you understand what I'm saying. And like I say, probably buy and sell 2-3 cars in a month, so certainly not high volumes, but I always try to buy cars from customers that I know. So I don't just go out into the wilderness and just go, oh, that seems a reasonable car, and buy it, because often there's a lot more wrong with that car than you think there is, isn't there? Or its history can be suspicious, shall we say. So I always try to buy, I'm not trying to sell you a car, by the way, but I'm trying to explain to you, people have asked me, how do I make my money on the island of Love? And that's how I make my money. And of course, the next question you're curious to know is, well, how much money do you make? Not enough. It's simple as that, not enough. Like anyone else in the world, we've all got our expenses, we've all got our outgoings, haven't you? I think that my outgoings are bigger than everyone else's outgoings. Obviously, that's not true, obviously. But I've mentioned in a previous video, I have a house that I have to pay the rent on. I have to pay the electricity bills, the water bills. What else have I got to pay on that house? The rubbish collection bill. Someone asked about that. Do we pay council tax? No, there's no council tax. Well, there is, but it's not council tax like yours. The bill comes every year, and I think it's €235 this year, I think it is. So that includes your rubbish collection, which is twice a week. They take away everything, even scrap cars. Well, they don't, but they take away scrap parts if we put them outside, that sort of stuff. And it includes what they call the municipality tax. So to you and me, that's council tax, isn't it? But it's €235 for the year, not for the month. Yeah, I know how you feel, because I've got a house in the UK, so I know how you feel. I am in touch with the bills, so that's another expense of Mr. Paul, because I have to fund that house as well. And sometimes it's rented, sometimes it's not. So, all right, sometimes it trickles in a little bit of cash as well. I also have my finger in a coffee shop as well. I won't mention the name of it. I have a small little percentage in it because we got on well, and I liked him and he liked me. And when the time came, I gave him a little bit of the old spondoolies to set that one up. And now and again, it returns a small profit, but it's not this one. It's another one, shall we say. There we are. So overall, because I know what you want to know, what you actually want to know is, isn't it, people? How much does he actually make? That's what you want to know. So I will say that I earn somewhere around about 60, somewhere around about 60. I always say I earn less in my head than that, and we all do that, don't we? But when I sit down and work out what I have to pay out, I understand that I earn 60, somewhere around there, somewhere between 55 and 65,000 euros per annum. So there you go. That's the answer to your question. And there's very, very little left, shall we say. But like I say, luckily from the past, I put some money away somewhere, which I call my escape funds. So if I ever need to run away, there is a little bag of gold at the end of a rainbow somewhere on an island, and it's not Cyprus. So one of these days, when the YouTube channel goes, there you go, one or two things have happened. Either I've died, hopefully not too soon, or I've got on a big bird and gone somewhere and put a balaclava on, shall we say, and gone into a bank. But there we are. Right. So I suppose you've all clicked off now because you've got the magic figure. That's what you earn, somewhere between 55 and 60,000 euros. Obviously, it fluctuates up and down because I'm not on a fixed salary. Obviously, we have some good weeks and we have some bad weeks. And we always remember the good weeks, don't we? Because we all sit around and remember when you're self-employed, that is. Yeah? That, in that week I earned, I know it sounds insane. It does sound insane, but I sold 2 cars 2-3 weeks ago. And I actually, after buying them, if you understand me, and after putting what was wrong with them correct, and there wasn't a lot wrong with them, which was lucky, I actually made, let me work the maths out now, so 2,300, 2,400, so all right, so they cost me 2,500, so that was hard-earned cash that I had to cough up, 2,500 for the 2. And I sold one for 5 and one for 6.5, so that's 11.5, isn't it? Minus 2.5, so that's 9,000. So I made 9,000 euros on 2 cars, which was very good, very, very good. Not normal. Normally, like I say, when I buy a car, I buy it for let's say I buy it for 8, and let's say if I'm unlucky and put it into the trade to another dealer, I walk away with 9, so I get 1,000, somewhere around there. Or if I find an individual who wants to buy it, I can sell it just under the price that garage would want to sell it, isn't it? So I would sell it at, let's say, 11, so I would do quite well. But like I say, buying and selling cars, and there's a lot of people who watch the channel who were involved or are still involved in buying and selling cars. And buying and selling cars Everyone always thinks that people make a fortune in buying and selling cars. And like I just said, I did. But next week, you can lose a fortune. I mean, I have a car that I sold to one of our family members, and I drove around in that car for 12 months. I thought it wasn't a bad car, and it literally cost me nothing. But the moment I sold it to the unsuspecting customer, and they're a lovely couple, by the way, things started to go wrong. And that's my responsibility, isn't it? And I'm pretty sure if they watch this video, they know who I'm talking about, and they'll probably drop it in the comments. I have spent 500 euros on a brand new fuse box for that car. I have spent 350 euros on a brand new front strut for that car. I have spent 250 euros on a new oil reservoir and some other bits and bobs on that car. But that's life, isn't it? That's life. So I remember buying that car off a lady for 4,000 euros, which was cheap because the car was worth probably about 6 in the trade, and probably about 7.5 if you were going to sell it. And at that time, well, those of you who follow the channel know the Jaguar was off the road and all these kind of things, so I decided to keep that car because it wasn't a bad car. So I ran around in that car for going on 12 months. Never gave me any problems, but it sure came back and bit me in the bottom a little bit later, isn't it? So I paid all right, I haven't lost too much money because I only sold it for 5. So I haven't lost too much on it. But this is what I'm trying to say, cars. And people who dibble and dabble in cars understand that. You can make 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 on a car, and then you can buy a car, you think it's a good car, sell it on, and then it comes back and bites you. And it costs you 500, 600, 700, 1,000, and you thought, oh, only made 500. Yeah, you only made 500, but you lost in the end. That's life, that's cars. It's one of the few things in the world, I think, where the glamour of it. Oh, I'm a car dealer. Whether you're selling, Honda Jazzes or whether you're selling Bugatti Veyrons, obviously there's more glamour in that side, isn't there? But even there, they can lose money. They can lose money because, of course, when something goes wrong on that very expensive car, you go and buy a Porsche Cayenne. I was talking to Lord Lee just before we went back to the UK. Big shout out to Lord Lee, and of course, Lady Vicky, and Princess Layla, and of course, the girl who's expecting. Yes, Princess Kaylee. And we hope you have a super smooth delivery and all those kind of things. Anyway, I've spotted this Porsche Cayenne, which is a 2014. It's immaculate, only done 140,000 kilometres, which is 90,000 miles, somewhere around there. Owner says, never given them any problem, bought it brand new. But the question is it going to give the next owner the problems? And if it does, because it's a Porsche, your bills are going to be up there. They're going to be high, aren't they? So the question is, do you buy a 10-year-old premium car? Yeah. If you're buying a 10-year-old non-premium car, your parts prices are not going to be so bad, are they? Anyway, that's a rant over, isn't it? Back to Mr. Paul and how he earns his living. And like I say, unfortunately, I think most foreigners will relate to this. Most foreigners who live in a foreign country, should we say Spain, Portugal, Cyprus, and they've sort of semi-retired or retired, they notice that the amount of money that they spend compared to the locals is much, much higher. I think it's to do with the culture we're from. We want to buy things that we're used to buying, aren't we? So, baked beans. If I bake beans, I want to buy Heinz baked beans. Heinz baked beans are much more expensive than a local brand of baked beans. Perhaps they've got more salt in or something, I don't know. But to our palate, I prefer Heinz baked beans. I understand some people who live in Cyprus will say, well, no, I prefer the local baked beans. I'm not saying you're wrong. Perhaps it's just me. So we are paying more money for things which are the same things as the locals are buying, but we want that brand of it. Same with coffee, isn't it? Same with cigarettes, those kind of things that we buy. Same with cars, isn't it? Go back to cars, because from if you come from the UK, you're familiar with Vauxhall, and so that's Opel in Cyprus. You're familiar with Ford, so you go and buy those. But of course, when they break down, the parts are a bit more expensive than a Toyota, which is the reverse in the UK, and that's because there's not as many Fords on the roads in Cyprus, so the parts are higher. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, there's one of my rants over again. We were talking about Mr. Paul and his money, because that's what I call it, Mr. Paul and his money, because I never have any. It's always gone. It arrives and I feel flush, and I walk around with a big wad of cash in my pocket, and then in comes something, or there's something I want to buy, and those kind of things. So where does my money go? That's a good question. I'd love to know. But I have the same cost as everyone else, doesn't it? And then, like I say, Marika is in 2 weeks going to Georgia. And when, before Marika and Paul got together, she used to fly to Georgia every Christmas to see her mum. But she would fly from Larnaca to Kutaisi, which is the second airport in Georgia, and then get on a bus and travel for 6 hours up to Tbilisi. Why would she do that, I hear you ask? Because to fly from Larnaca to Kutaisi can be as low as 60 euros each way. Sometimes it can be 100 euros to come there and back, and then the bus is only 10 euros each way. It's less, actually. So she used to fly, and today you could still do it. She could fly from Larnaca to Kutaisi, then get on a bus to Tbilisi, then Tbilisi back to Kutaisi, then Kutaisi back to Larnaca, and sometimes do all of that for about 130, 140 euros, which is what, about £100. But I don't want her to fly from Larnaca to Kutaisi and then go on a bus for 6 hours. One, it's not very nice, but two, she has to go through the mountains on a bus, and the snow can be that deep. I think you're getting my logic now. Yeah. So I get her to fly from Larnaca to Tbilisi, straight into the centre of the capital city, and then 5 minutes in a taxi, she is home. But of course, now you've got to pay a premium, and that has just cost me 570 euros. Not that I'm complaining, but I'm saying there's the difference in the money. So someone else, because lots of people from Cyprus go back to their motherlands at Christmas, so a lot of people who want to go back to Georgia or Armenia would go on the route that Marika used to do. So even though they earn less money than me, they are spending less money. I mean, this is the point I'm coming to. They're spending less money, isn't it? Again, I was talking with Lord Lee. You can have two people sitting in the same room, and that person, male or female, earns £50,000, 50,000 euros a year, and that person on that side earns £20,000, 20,000 euros a year. But that person can have a lot more money in a bank than that person, because this person, because they've got more money, chooses to, shall we say, have the better things in life, chooses to take the smoother route in life. It's like I say, that person and that person, well, that person there, if they were going to Tbilisi, will only spend 120 euros, whereas I've spent 570 euros. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Anyway, rant over. There you go. Mr. Paul and his money. He hasn't got enough of it, so if you do like what you see, hit the like, smash that subscribe. Please don't forget to keep on coming back for these little bits of my madnesses or my insights into my life. If you like it, please tell me. If you want me to talk about a subject, please tell me. I don't know what you want me to talk about until you tell me. I will randomly talk about parts of my life and parts of the good and the bad of living in Cyprus. I'm going to say thanks for watching. I'm going to like this little boy and waste some more of my money, and you can have a look at that for a view. Sitting on a hillside in Tala in the second week of December. It's around about 18 degrees. It's before lunchtime, and very, very soon we're off to the Marika and Me Lounge Bar to do some painting. And of course, if you would like to get involved in the Marika and Me Lounge Bar, why not go and hunt us down on PayPal. Paul G Cyprus, Paul as in Paul, G G E E Cyprus and perhaps consider to get your name on the Wall of Fame on the Hollywood staircase. £50 for a brick, £100 for a swinging hanging star, and £200 for one of our exclusive staircase steps. Thanks for watching. I'll enjoy your company and look forward to seeing you again very, very soon indeed.